Hello, and welcome to Dig a Podcast, a show that tells the in-depth story behind the songs of the greatest band that is, was, and ever will be, the Beatles. In this season, Season 1, we will explore the Beatles' first LP, Introducing the Beatles, or our UK listeners would know it as Please Please Me. Introducing the Beatles was originally scheduled for a July 1963 release, but came out on the 10th of January 1964 on VJ Records, whereas Please Please Me was released on the 23rd of March 1963 on EMI's Parlophone label. Let's continue our journey through Introducing the Beatles with
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Do You Want to Know a Secret? Inspiration for a hit song can truly come from anywhere. In the case of the Beatles, an infinite variety of sources have been cited by its composers regarding their songs throughout their career. Among them all were an affair, Norwegian Wood, reading the newspaper, A Day in the Life, being sick in bed, Don't Bother Me, an advertisement in a gun magazine, Happiness is a Warm Gun, a marine life story from a ship captain, Octopus's Garden, and a carnival poster, being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. Sometimes the inspiration for a song can come from a deeply rooted childhood memory. In the case of Do You Want to Know a Secret, it came from John's mother singing a song to him when he was a small boy between the ages of 1 and 3 years old. Songwriting history. My mother was she was a good comedian and a singer, John Lennon remembers. She used to do this little tune when I was 1 or 2 years old. She was still living with me then. The tune was from a Disney movie. Do you want to know a secret? Promise not to tell. You are standing by a wishing well. So I had this sort of thing in my head, and I wrote it and gave it to George to sing. I thought it would be a good vehicle for him, because it had only been 3 notes, and he wasn't the best singer in the world. John's mother, Julia, was singing the variation of the introduction of the song I'm Wishing from the 1937 Walt Disney film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to her son on those occasions of his young childhood. This is from an opening scene of the movie where Snow White was working as a KitchenAid, and as she stands at the castle well, she sings these lines to surrounding doves. Since John was born on October 9th, 1940, the movie was only 4 years old when John remembers his mother singing this to him at the age of 1. Although John's quotation above intimates that he wrote the song alone, Paul's book many years from now asserts that it was a 50-50 collaboration written to order, a hack song written specifically for George. Following the rule that McCartney mentioned about how John never had his middle eights, the Buddy Holly-like bridge, as well as the introduction, could possibly have been a collaboration from Paul to round out the original idea as brought forward by Lennon, but this is pure speculation. Ian MacDonald's book, Revolution in the Head, hints at Paul's possible involvement when noting these 3 descending major sevenths of the verse being borrowed from McCartney's arrangement of Till There Was You. Another possible influence on the songwriting of Do You Want to Know a Secret was suggested by George Harrison during a Musician magazine interview in 1987. The R&B hit I Really Love You by the Stereos from 1961, which strikes a similar rhythm and tempo, is cited by George as an influence. The song was written while the recently married John and Cynthia Lennon were living at Brian Epstein's secret apartment at 36 Faulkner Street that Brian usually kept for his sexual liaisons. Since they stayed there for approximately 4 months after they were married, the song was written somewhere between August 23rd, the date that John and Cynthia wed, and December 18th, 1962, when the final Hamburg trip occurred and Cynthia moved into John's and Mimi's home on Menlove Avenue. As to whether the song was written with the intention of it being the vehicle for George Harrison to sing, John stated in a 1980 Playboy interview, "It wasn't for him, George, but as soon as I'd written it, I thought, he could do this." McCartney insists, however, that it was the sole intention of the song being written. What is certain is that Harrison was regarded as a singer of lesser talent than John or Paul, so the song suited him perfectly, being that it only had 3 notes, according to Lennon. Harrison even confirms this statement, saying that he didn't like his vocal work in the song because he didn't know how to sing yet. Comfortingly, John stated in 1980 that he has improved a lot since then. The rumour that the song was intended for fellow Liverpudlian recording artist Billy J. Kramer, the J being added to his name at the insistence of Lennon, which stands for his son Julian, has been proved to be unfounded. This fellow Brian Epstein recruit recorded the song well over a month after the Beatles did, on March 21st, 1963, with his recently acquired backup band, the Dakotas, and George Martin at the producer's helm. When released in Britain on April 25th, though, the song's success rode on the Beatles' coattails and landed a number 2 spot on the British charts, not being able to surpass the 7-week residency of the Beatles From Me to You at the number 1 spot. Kramer's lack of vocal prowess was also apparent on his rendition of the song, but with the help of vocal double tracking and George Martin's piano riff during the falsetto notes at the end of each verse, this song began a string of British hits for him, which consisted mostly of Lennon-McCartney compositions. His recording of the song also accomplishes the achievement of Do You Want to Know a Secret, having a placement at the number 2 spot in both Britain and America, the Beatles achieving this goal in the US in May of 1964. Recording history. Sometime during the Beatles' December 1962 visit to Hamburg, Lennon taped a version of the song for demonstration purposes, in order for Billy J. Kramer to learn in preparation for his recording of it. John taped his demo version in the bathroom of a Hamburg nightclub because, as he insisted, it was the only place he could find that was quiet enough to do the recording. After the song was completed, John flushed the toilet, possibly to symbolize his opinion of the song at the time. Only one proper session was needed to capture on tape this classic performance by the Beatles. It was the 4th of 11 songs recorded on the historic marathon session of February 11th, 1963, to complete their first British album, Please Please Me. The afternoon session began at 2:30 on that day, and after recording the bulk of the song, Taste of Honey, they commenced recording Do You Want to Know a Secret between approximately 3:15 and 3:45 p.m. After 5 run-throughs of the song, not all complete performances, Take 6 was the keeper, which was performed musically without any edits and with full instrumentation from all 4 members of the band. Harrison sang lead vocals simultaneously with the band on all of these takes, but no harmony vocals were yet recorded. Take 7 and 8 were attempts at recording Lennon and McCartney's harmony, Do-Da-Do's, while Ringo, at the suggestion of George Martin, tape 2 sticks together during the song's bridge. These takes were overdubbed onto take 6 of the song, while take 8 saw the song as complete. Both mono and stereo mixes of the song were made on February 25th, 1963, as were the mixes for the rest of the first album. Both of these mixes were made from the complete take 8, which included the harmony and sticks overdubs. No Beatles were present at this session. Only George Martin and engineers Norman Smith and A.B. Lincoln were present. Thanks for listening to Dig a Podcast. You can subscribe to our podcast on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcasting platform. This has been a Team Wilco production. Until next time, if you know what I mean. Do I did? No? Okay.